When you hear the word rehab, what's the first image that flashes in your mind? For most of us, it's a scene straight out of a Hollywood drama. We imagine cold, sterile hallways. We imagine clinical white coats, flickering fluorescent lights, and patients pacing behind locked doors like prisoners. We think of the first 24 hours as a nightmare of screaming, sweat, and shadows. But here's the first secret. Reality is much quieter. For most people, those first 24 hours aren't a scene from an action movie. They are a moment of profound, exhausting relief. It's the first time in years they don't have to worry about where the next pill is coming from or how to hide the bottle. It's the first time they can finally stop running. Television lives for the rock bottom moments. It loves the drama of the intervention and the chaos of the withdrawal. But what the cameras never show is what happens after the door closes. Today, we're going behind those doors to look at the three hidden realities of modern recovery. The parts the TV shows skip because they're too normal, too complex, or too hopeful for a 30-minute episode. If you or someone you love is standing at that door, afraid of what's on the other side, this video is for you. Because knowledge isn't just power in the world of recovery. Knowledge is the map that leads you home. The biggest myth about rehab is that it's a place where you are sent to be fixed by experts. It sounds like a car being dropped off at a mechanic. But addiction isn't a broken engine, it's a broken connection. In the industry, we call the most successful model a therapeutic community. When you walk into a high-quality center today, you won't find bars on the windows. You'll find a micro-society. On TV, the doctor is the hero. In real life, the hero is often the guy sitting next to you at breakfast who's been sober for 3 weeks longer than you have. You might wonder, why am I paying for a program just to end up doing my own laundry and helping with the dishes? It's a common complaint, but there is a deep psychological secret behind those chores. Addiction thrives in chaos. It makes your world very small, just you and your substance. You lose the muscle memory of being a person who contributes to a group. By sharing meals, taking turns cleaning the common areas, and holding each other accountable for showing up on time, you are practicing being human again. In a therapeutic community, the group is the medicine. If you're having a bad day, you don't just talk to a therapist for an hour. You live with people who can see the tell in your eyes before you even speak. They call you out when you're isolating. They celebrate when you finally sleep through the night. This isn't about restriction, it's about structure. Most people entering rehab feel like their lives are a shattered glass. The community provides the frame that holds the pieces together while the glue dries. It's not a prison. It's a training ground for a life where you are finally back in the driver's seat. Now let's talk about the part that TV really ignores. On a show, once the Detox episode is over, usually accompanied by dramatic music and some sweating, the character's suddenly better. They have a clear head and they're ready to face the world. In reality, Detox is just the opening act. The real battle begins in the weeks after the substance is out of your system. This is the hidden medical phase, and if you don't know it's coming, it can feel like you're failing. Scientists call it Paws. Think of acute withdrawal, the first few days, like a physical injury, like a broken leg. It hurts, it's obvious, and it's over relatively quickly. Pause, however, is like the physical therapy that follows. It's the brain trying to recalibrate after years of chemical interference. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain has stopped making its own feel-good chemicals because it was getting them from a bottle or a pill. When you stop, your brain is like a factory that has forgotten how to run the machines. This leads to the fog. You might feel depressed, anxious, or unable to feel joy even when something good happens. You might have trouble sleeping or find it hard to focus on a simple book. On TV, they call this craving. In a center, we call it a brain in repair. Modern centers use something called neuro-rehabilitation. They aren't just giving you talk therapy, they are helping you rewire the hardware of your brain. They use things like specialized nutrition to give your brain the raw materials it needs to build neurotransmitters again. They use mindfulness and biofeedback, which is a way of seeing your heart rate and brain waves on a screen to teach you how to manually turn off your fight or flight response. This is the secret. Recovery isn't just about willpower, it's about biology. When you understand that your bad mood or your anxiety in week 3 is just a symptom of pause, just your brain's way of saying, I'm working on the wiring. It becomes much easier to keep going. You're not weak, you're just under construction. Imagine a mobile hanging over a baby's crib. You know the ones with the little stars and moons? If you pull on one star, the entire mobile tilts. Every single piece moves. A family is exactly like that mobile. The third secret is perhaps the most important. A successful rehab doesn't just treat the person who is addicted. It treats the entire family. On TV, the family usually drops the person off at the gate, cries and says, "Call us when you're fixed." But this is a recipe for what we call a relapse on arrival. If a patient spends 30 days getting healthy, learning boundaries, and finding peace, but then returns to a home where everyone is still stuck in the old patterns, the mobile will pull them right back into their old shape. Modern centers focus on retraining loved ones. This isn't because the family did anything wrong. It's because addiction is a family disease. It forces everyone to play roles they never wanted. Maybe the mother became the enabler, the person who cleans up the messes and pays the late bills to keep the peace. Maybe the spouse became the prosecutor, the person who checks receipts and smells breath, turning into a private investigator instead of a partner. In rehab, the family learns a hard but beautiful truth. You cannot save your loved one, but you can change the environment they return to. They learn about boundaries. A boundary isn't a wall to keep someone out. It's a gate to keep yourself safe. They learn that saying no to a request for money might be the most loving thing they can do. When the heavy doors open and the patient walks out, the most successful families are the ones who can say, "I've been doing the work too. I've learned how to take care of me so that I can be a healthy part of us." Behind those heavy doors, there isn't a mystery. There isn't a cure that happens overnight. There is just a group of people learning how to be human again, a brain learning how to heal its own wires, and a family learning how to dance in a brand new way. If you've been watching the dramatized versions of rehab on your screen and feeling terrified, know this: the real story is much more hopeful. It's not about losing your freedom. It's about finally finding the keys to the cage you've been living in for years. If this video gave you a new perspective, or if you think it could help someone who is currently afraid to take that first step, please share it. Breaking the stigma starts with changing the narrative. You don't have to wait for a rock bottom to start your climb. The doors are heavy, yes, but they are unlocked. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.